Alright guys, today we're going to be working on, change the way this video sits. We're going to be working on approximating imperfect squares. So if I asked you, what is the square root of 7? Okay, 7 is not a perfect square. So I don't know what number multiplied by itself equals 7 or what number squared equals 7. But that's what I have to figure out right now. And so I'm going to give you a step-by-step to figure this out. And so the first thing I have to do, step 1, is find the closest perfect squares to your imperfect square. So the perfect squares are square root of 1, because that's 1, square root of 4, because that's 2, square root of 9, because that's 3, square root of 16, because that's 4. And I'll give you a list at the end of this video of the perfect squares, but real quick, we can see square root of 7 is going to fall between the square root of 4 and the square root of 9, right? So step 2 is find the range between the closest perfect squares. So square root of 9 minus the square root of 4, the range is 5. Let me put that in the right color for us. So the range is 5. Okay? So now, step 3. Find how far the imperfect square is from the lowest number, or the lowest value would be another way to say that, perfect square. So 7 is our imperfect square, and 4 was the lowest. 7 was our imperfect square, 4 was the lowest perfect square. So we're going to do 7 minus 4, and we're going to get 3. And that's the distance from the low perfect square. Okay? And now step 4 is to divide step 3 by step 4. So we're dividing the distance from the low by the total range between the low and the high. So 3 over 5. 3 over 5, 3 divided by 5 is 0.6. Okay? 0.6, that's our number. And then step 5 is to add step 4 to the lower perfect square. All right, so the lower perfect square was the square root of 4, and that is equal to 2. So now 2 plus 0.6 is 2.6. And then we're done. So the idea is that the square root of 7 then is approximately equal to 2.6. Okay, approximately. And so then we can use a calculator to check our work here. So let's try it out. So 7 square root 2.645. So it's square root of 7, and we should have a dot 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 here to show this goes on forever. Square root of 7 is about equal to 2.6457 dot dot dot. So we were very close. We had the first decimal done. And that's all we need to be able to do to approximate perfect squares. Okay? We need to be able to find which two perfect squares this imperfect square of 7 is closest to. Then find the range between the two closest perfect squares. Divide the distance of the imperfect square by the range. And then add that to the lower perfect square. So some abstract steps here, but when you combine it with our knowledge from yesterday's lesson, we're going to be able to approximate these to the nearest.